The sun rises over the eastern hills of Latium as a new child takes their first breath in the world's most ambitious superpower. The baby is kicking, crying, and wailing like any newborn would. But if you knew what life in Rome really had waiting for them, you'd let them scream their tiny lungs out. After all, it's the last time anyone will take their feelings seriously. Welcome to Rome, kid, where your value, safety, and future depend entirely on your father's mood, your family's money, and a political system that eats its own children. Literally, sometimes. Your parents look at you with pride, hoping you'll bring dignitas and prestige to the family name. But before any of that can happen, you must first survive the oldest Roman tradition of all, being judged. Because in Rome, the first trial of your life starts about 5 minutes after you're born. Your father, the paterfamilias, will take one look at you and decide whether you're worth keeping. Too small? Too weak? Too sickly? Too inconvenient today? Congratulations, you may be exposed, a nice word meaning abandoned outside to let the gods, slaves, or wild animals figure out what happens next. Sure, a few exposed babies got lucky and were rescued or adopted, but most, they didn't even make it to the end of the week. But if you did survive, then congratulations again. You've just secured a one-way ticket to a life of grime, politics, disease, and bathing in water shared by 10,000 other people. From birth, Roman babies were bathed not in warm scented oils, but in cold water. Why? Because warm water makes you soft, and the Romans hated soft. And while your mother tried to raise you, every Roman childhood still belonged to one terrifying figure: your father, the man with absolute legal power over your life, death, marriage, money, and apparently bedtime. If you cried too much, ignored. If you complained, mocked. If you acted weak, well, the Romans believed pain built character, and you're about to get a lot of character. If you were a boy, your future was already chosen: politics, war, or both. Probably both if you didn't want to be called a coward. Even dreaming of doing something outside the Roman machine was basically a crime against your ancestors. You'd spend your childhood drilled in reading, writing, rhetoric, and the most important Roman skill of all, pretending to like people you secretly hate. By age 7, you'd be sent to school where your teachers beat knowledge into you with sticks, canes, and whatever they could grab fast enough. If you thought your parents didn't love you, your tutors definitely didn't. You memorized laws, speeches, and long-winded poems while trying not to get smacked for blinking too loudly, and that was just the academic part. See, the Romans wanted tough men, so you'd also spend your childhood wrestling, running, marching, and training with wooden weapons heavy enough to shatter your wrist. Why? Because the real ones were waiting for you on campaign. And speaking of campaigns, Rome loved war like it was a hobby. If you were from a wealthy family, you were expected to serve. If you were poor, you might end up in the legion anyway because you needed the salary to not starve. Either way, you were going to get stabbed by someone sooner or later. But before all that, somewhere around age 14, your family would marry you off to someone you met 5 minutes ago because alliances matter and your feelings do not. Congratulations! And don't get too comfortable, because once you hit adulthood, Rome stops pretending to care at all. If you were an ambitious young man, your life became a nonstop nightmare of speeches, bribery, political assassinations, and desperately trying not to offend a senator who could ruin you with a rumor. If you succeeded, great. You got to command legions and spend the next 20 years marching across Europe, eating wheat mush and sleeping in a leather tent while freezing to death. If you failed, well, let's just say the Romans didn't invent poison for no reason. And if you thought the battlefield was bad, wait until you met a Roman doctor. Their medical toolkit was mostly burn it, cut it off, or have you tried praying to Apollo? Now, if you were a girl, your life didn't include campaigns, but don't think you were getting it easy. No, Roman girls had their own chaotic routine. Born? Kept only if your father felt generous. Raised? Mostly indoors, learning to spin, weave, run a household, and stay quiet in a society that didn't want your opinion unless you were extremely rich or extremely daring. But your father still controlled everything you owned, did, or married into. And childbirth? Yeah, that was your version of war. And statistically way deadlier. Women who died giving birth were honored, but that didn't help them much after the fact. Still, Roman women could inherit property, host salons, own slaves, and even influence politics from the shadows. if they were clever enough. But step one toe out of line, society roasted you harder than bread in a Pompeii bakery. So you live your life, surviving disease, fires, incompetent emperors, street riots, and the constant smell of the Tiber River wafting through the city like a cursed perfume. If, by some miracle, you made it to old age, around 60 or so, you'd look back and realize you dodged everything. Wars, plagues, conspiracies, and at least 5 emperors who were definitely insane. As you lie on your couch, surrounded by your family, you might think, maybe this is a good Roman death. You didn't get stabbed by a rival, crushed in a riot, executed by a paranoid emperor, burned in a fire, or die of some mysterious fever after bathing in water that 10,000 strangers also used. Would dying in battle have been more glorious? Sure, but honestly, you're just happy you made it this far. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video, or else I'll sign you up for 20 years in the Roman legions. Let me know in the comments if you would want to live as a Roman citizen.